Hello mathematicians, we are going to be practicing our long division algorithm today, which is the algorithm that helps us to use bigger numbers when we are dividing. So for everything else, we can use our other strategies that we've used, like drawing our equal groups or recording our tallies. We can use repeated subtraction, we can use arrays, we can use our fact families from our multiplication tables, but this method will help you when it's a bigger number that needs to be divided. So for this example, we're going to do 75 divided by 3. So normally we would write 75 divided by 3, like this. 75 is a really big number, so if you have to draw groups of that can get quite messy. If you are going to do repeated subtraction from 75, that would go on and on and on. So this is a faster, more efficient way to work out the answer. So let's look at this. It looks a bit hard. It's not that hard once you learn the steps. So it's like everything else in maths, it can be tricky at first, but once you learn the rules, it's actually not too hard at all. So let's look at the first part of it. So the first part says we are going to start by dividing. Well, that makes sense because this is a division. But then it says then we multiply, then we subtract, then we bring down, then we repeat. And this looks very complicated. So we're going to go through it step by step to make sure we understand exactly what we're doing at each part. Okay, so let's get started. Let's go over here. And we'll start with our 75 divided by 3. So first of all, we have to put it into the division algorithm format, which looks a bit strange. So we do a little curve, a straight line, and we put our divisor in there, 75. That's what we have. So imagine we have 75 lollies, and we're going to divide it by 3 people. So 3 people are splitting these lollies, and we're going to see how many they get each. So we try 75. Inside here, we're dividing it by 3, so that goes on the outside, and then our answer is going to go across the top here. So our quotient goes across the top. So let's work it out. The first thing we do is we look and it says 3 goes into 7 2 times, so we're looking at number 7. How many sets of 3 can I make from that 7? So if I use my skip counting, I can go 3, 6. I can't go any higher than that, because if I go to the next set of 3, that would be 9. That would be too many. So the closest I can get is 3, 6. So that's 2 sets of 3. So then what we have to do is think about the multiply part. This part here, multiply. When I do 3 sets of 2, so I've worked out that in 7 I can make 2 sets of 3. If I multiply that together, 2 sets of 3 are 6. So I'm going to write down my 6. And I'm going to take that away because I've used up those 6. I've made 2 sets of 3, I've used up 6. How many do I have left? Well, now I have 1 left. Then I'm going to look at the 5, and I need to bring that down so that I'm looking at these numbers together. So that's the bringing down part. So we've done the divide, we've done the multiply, we've done the taking away, the subtraction, and now I've brought down my next number. So now I'm going to repeat that process. I'm going to look at this number now, 15 divided by 3. How many sets of 3 can I get out of 15? So I can do 15 divided by 3 equals 5. Or I can skip count up. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. How many is that? 5. So 3 into 15 goes 5 times. So the answer to my question, 75 divided by 3, is 25. So if there was 75 lollies and 3 children were going to have them, they would each get 25 lollies, which is probably too many lollies for anyone to eat. Okay, so you're probably thinking, oh my goodness, Mrs. Barr, that is far too hard. It is the first time you see it. The second time you see it, it might help you to understand it a little bit better. So let's try it now. Let's go over here. And let's imagine that Mrs. Barr has 60 lollies this time, and I'm going to divide them by 3. Let's stick with 3. Okay, so 60, this is the number of lollies that I have, divided by 3, so dividing it into 3 groups, and my answer is going to go along the top here. That's where my quotient will go. So what I'll do is I'll start by thinking, how many times does 3 go into 6? So I might jot that down. So I can do 3 and then 6. So how many times can I make a set of 3? I can make 2. 3 into 6 is 2. And then I bring that down. Oh, sorry. And then I bring that down here, minus 6, and that's 0. And then I have 0 over here, I bring it down. 0 divided by 3 is just 3. 3 divided by 0 is just 0. So the answer is 20. Let's look at another one. If I have 104 lollies, and I'm going to give them to 4 lucky people. So 4 lucky people get to split up 104 lollies equally between them. Let's work this out. So 4 into 1, I can't do that. So I can't divide 1 by 4. So I can't do that. So I just put a little cross at the top. So now I'm going to look at these two numbers together. That makes a 10 that I'm working with. So how many sets of 4 can I get in 10? So I can get a set of 4, then another set of 4 makes 8. If I go again, that makes 12, so that's too many. I don't have 12, I only have 10. So the closest that I can get is 8. Okay, so how many sets of 4 is that? So that's 1 set of 4, 2 sets of 4. So I'm going to put that up here, 2 sets of 4. If I have 2 sets of 4, then I've used up 8, so I need to take that away. And then 10 take 8 would be 2. So I've got 2 left over. I bring down my 4. And now I'm looking at 24 divided by 4. And I do the same thing again. So 24 divided by 4, you can figure out that how many sets of 4 are in 24. 4, 8, 12, 16, 24. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets of 4. And I've used everything up. So now I can say, yep, 5 sets. That's not right. Oh man. Hello mathematicians. Today we are going to be learning how to use the standard division algorithm to solve division problems that have bigger numbers. So far we have used quite small numbers in our division problems. And when we start using larger numbers, it gets a bit tricky to use some of our strategies. So if I'm trying to divide 75 by 3, so 75 divided by 3, 75 is quite a big number. So if I was to draw 3 groups and then try and divide 75 all through them, that's going to take me forever. That's not going to work for me. It takes forever. Too many dots, it gets too messy. Same with tallies. If we try to do 75 tallies, it might look a little bit neater, but it would still take a long time. Repeated subtraction would take a long time. So the algorithm is really there for big number problems. So let's look at 75 divided by 3. Now, like everything else in maths, it looks tricky, but it's actually not once you learn the rules. And the rules for doing this are divide, then multiply, then subtract, then bring down, then repeat. And that probably sounds a bit scary, and it does look a bit scary, but it's actually really simple. So let's look at it together. If I want to divide 75 by 3, so I've got 75 lollies, I'm going to divide them into 3 groups. 3 lucky people will get some of my lollies. I have to write this down in the division algorithm way. So to start off, we do a little funny shape like this. And inside that shape, we put our divisor. Okay? So that's how many we have. We have 75. On the outside, we put how many groups we want to split them into. So I've got 75 divided by 3. And my answer is going to go up here. So my quotient will go on the top line. So let's look at how we do this. So the first step, we treat each of these digits as just a digit. So even though we know that this 7 is actually 70, for the algorithm, we just treat it like a 7. So I look at number 7 and I go, okay, how many times can 3 go into 7? And that means how many sets of 3 are in 7. So skip counting can help you with this. So if I'm counting up in 3s and I go 3, 6, if I go to 9, that's too many. I don't have 9, I only have 7. So I have to go back. Okay, the closest that I can get is 6. How many sets of 3 is that? Well, that's 1 set of 3, 2 sets of 3. So when I divide 7 by 3, I have 2 sets of 3. Okay, that's our multiply part. So we've done the divide and we've done the multiply. Now we need to do the subtract. So let's look at this multiplication part. 3 sets of 2 is 6. So I had 7. I've grouped them into 2 sets of 3. And then I'm going to take that away. So 7 take 6 is 1. I've got 1 left over. And then I pull down my 5. So that's the subtraction and then the bring down. And then I repeat that again. So now I'm looking at this number. And this number is 15. So I'm going to look at that number and go, how many times does 3 go into 15? So I'll do my skip counting. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. How many sets of 3 is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 5 sets of 3. So I put my 5 up here. I do my multiplication. So 5 sets of 3 is 15. Take away 15. And I know I'm finished because now I'm at 0. I have split up into equal groups all of the things that I wanted to. So 75 divided by 3, this is my answer. 75 divided by 3 is 25. And you can see that over here in this little graphic, and this is the same one that's in your class notebook, so that if you need to check, you can go back and check. I divided, so I did 7 divided by 3 was 2 sets of 3. And then I had to work out, okay, how many have I used up? So I then had to look at the next step, which was multiply. If I have 2 sets of 3, then that makes 6. So I put my 6 underneath. I take that away. So I had 7, I made 2 sets of 3, which was 6. So now how many do I have left? I have 1 left. And then so that I can do the next part of the algorithm, I bring down this 5. So the 5 moves down to sit beside the 1. And that gives me the number 15. And now I do the whole thing again. So how many sets of 3 can I make from 15? And 15 is actually easy to divide by 3. So I don't have to do much else because 15 divided by 3 is 5. 5 3s, do the multiply part, 5 3s are 15, and I know I'm finished because now I'm at 0 when I take that away. So this looks complicated, and it kind of is a little bit complicated, but it's just a list of rules. So like everything else in maths, once we learn the rules, it becomes much, much easier. Okay, let's try it again, because doing something one time doesn't usually help. So let's practice it again. And remember, with these videos, you can go back, you can watch it as many times as you need to, so that you understand completely what you have to do in the algorithm. It's just a set of steps, but there's quite a few steps to remember. So let's see if we can work through this one. So if I have 104 lollies, 104 lollies, that is a lot of lollies, and I'm going to divide them by 4 people. So if we write that normally, it looks like this: 104 divided by 4 equals. But because I'm doing the algorithm, I'm going to write it in this special way. So I make my little box shape, I put in my divisor, and then I put in the 4 because that's how many groups I want to make. My answer is going to go along the top. So let's work that out. First thing I want to do is I want to divide. So I look at my first, and remember we treat these as digits, we don't treat them as numbers because that number is worth 100. But for the algorithm, I just treat it like a digit, so it's 1. So 1 divided by 4, I can't do that. So I'm going to look to the next one, and I like to put a little cross at the top because I couldn't do that part. Now I've got 10 divided by 4. So remember, we're still using them as digits. So I've got 10 divided by 4. Well, I can do that. So I'm going to think about, okay, how many sets of 4 can I make out of 10? So if I use my skip counting, I can use 4. Then I jump to 8. If I jump to 12, that's too many. I don't have 12, so I have to go back. The closest that I can get is 8. So how many sets of 4 was that? Well, that was 1 set of 4 and 2 sets of 4. So if I put how many sets I've managed to make on the top line, I've made 2 groups of 4. Next I do my multiply stage. So I'm going to do 2 groups of 4. How much is that all together? So 2 groups of 4 was 8. And I'm going to take that away. So I had 10. I made 2 groups of 4. That's 8. So I've used up 8. Now what do I have left? Well, I have left 2. And for the next part of the algorithm, I'm going to pull this down. I'm going to make that a 4. So now I'm looking at the number 24. I'm just going to rub this part out here so that it doesn't confuse us. So I've made 2 groups of 4. Now we're going to look at this number, 24. 24 divided by 4, well, that's actually an easy one because it does divide quite nicely. So we can do 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. So I'm skip counting by 4s. How many sets of 4 is that? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've made 6 sets of 4. And then I check that. 6 sets of 4 is 24. So I take away 24. And I know I'm finished dividing because I'm down to 0. So the answer to my question, if I have 104 lollies and I split it between 4 people, then those people will each get this answer. They will get 26 lollies. Okay, we're going to look at one more together and then we'll try some examples. So if I have 475 lollies, my numbers are getting big now. 475 lollies, and I'm going to divide them into 5 groups. So 5 people can have lots and lots of lollies. I'm going to take my algorithm style. So I need to draw my little box, put in how many lollies I have. So I have 475. And how many groups do I want to split them into? I want to split them into 5 groups. And my answer is going to go across the top. So let's see. How many lollies will each person get? Let's work it out. So first of all, I start 4 here. Can I do 4 divided by 5? How many groups of 5 are in 4? Well, there's none. I can't do that. So I look to the next one. 47. I'll just put that little cross up at the top because you couldn't do that one. 47 divided by 5. I can definitely do this. There's definitely sets of 5 in there. So again, you can use your skip counting. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and then 45. How many sets of 5 is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I've made 9 sets of 5. So I'm going to put that up here. 9 sets of 5. Now I know that 9 times 5 is 45. So that's the multiply part. So I've done the dividing. Now I've multiplied these together to find out what was that answer. 45. And I'm going to take that away. So I've used up 45 by making those 9 groups. So 47 take 45 is 2. And I'm going to bring down this 5 so that I'm ready to do the next part. And the next part is I divide 25 by 5. Now you can see that 25 is in this list, but we're just going to skip count anyway because it's good to practice. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So how many sets of 5 could I make? Well, I could make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put it there. And I know that 5 times 5 is 25, so I'm going to take away 25, and I know I'm finished because I'm at 0. Okay, so let's try this one together. So make sure that you are ready to try this one yourself. So pause the video when I tell you to. Give it a try by yourself. If it's too hard, that's okay. Go back and watch the video again and have a look at the different steps, and then give it another try. Remember, you can watch the video as often as you would like to. But we're going to try this one together. So I'm going to divide 332 divided by 4. So I have 332 lollies. I'm going to split them up between 4 people. What is the answer? So let's use the algorithm to find that out. So I have to draw my box. 3, 3, 2 inside. And then I'm going to put the 4 outside because that's how many groups I want. And remember, our answer goes along the top. So you are going to pause the video and give this a try by yourself. And if it's too hard, that's okay. Go back and try again. So pause the video now and give it a try. Alright, so you have tried this and hopefully you have found it a little bit easy to do. If not, don't stress. That's why we practice. So we'll go through the answer just now and we'll see how you went. So when we do 4, we look at the first one here. We're looking at how many sets of 4 can we make out of 3? Well, you can't make any sets of 4 out of 3. So we have to look at the next one. So just put a little cross up here. None. 33. We can definitely make some sets of 4 out of that, so we're going to skip count. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. If I go to the next one, that's going to be 36. That's too many. I don't have enough here because I only have 33. So 32 is the closest that I'm going to get. How many sets of 4 was that? Well, that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That was 8 sets of 4. Next, I do my multiply. So 8 times 4 is 32. We can see that from our skip counting. So down here, I'm going to take away that 32. I've used that up to make these 8 groups. So 33 take 32 is 1. There's just 1 left. Then I bring down this 2, and the number that I'm working with now is 12. And we know that 12 can be divided by 4. So if we do our skip counting, that's quite easy. 4, 8, 12. How many groups of 4 do I have? Well, I have 1, 2, 3. 3 groups of 4. So I put my groups up here. 3. And then I know that 3 times 4 is 12. So I do minus 12. And I know I'm finished because I've got to 0. And then this at the top of the line is my answer. It's my quotient. So 332 lollies divided by 4 people. Each person would get 83. If you got this correct, you're ready to try the next example. If you didn't, rewind the video and go through the steps again. And remember, you have the graphic in your class notebook that you can have open beside you. And the graphic looks like this. It shows you what to do so that you can always have that open beside you as well. And remember, you can be practicing these on a whiteboard, on scrap paper, anything that you want to. Alright, let's try the next one. Okay, let's go big on our number. 765 divided by 5. This is the biggest division that we have ever done so far. So let's make it really, really good. So 765 is my divisor. So I'm going to put that into a little box. And then I'm going to split that into 5 groups. And remember, your answer is going to be on this top line once you've done all your working out. So the first step, I have to divide. So 7 divided by 5. How many sets of 5 can I make out of 7? Well, I can actually only make 1. Because if I have 5, and then if I have another set of 5, that would be 10. So that's too many. So the closest that I can get is 5. So that's just one set of 5. So I'll put my 1 up here. That's how many sets of 5 I can make. And when I do my multiply, 1 times 5 is 5. So I'm going to take away 5 because I've used that up to make a group. So now what do I have left? Well, I have 7. Take 5 is 2. Then I'm going to bring down my 6. And that's the number that I'm working with next. So then I do the whole thing again. 26 divided by 5. So how many sets of 5 can I make? 5 goes into 26 how many times? Let's do our skip counting. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. So then I take my 25 away. So I put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups up here. 5 times 5 is 25. I'm going to take that away. What's left? 1. Then I'm going to pull down my 5. Okay, you're going to pause the video now and you're going to work out the rest of the answer yourself. So now that you've done that, you should have worked out that 15 divided by 5 is 3. And we can prove that with our skip counting. 5, 10, 15. 1, 2, 3 groups. So I put my 3 groups up here. I do my check. 3 times 5 is 15. So I'm going to take away 15. And I know that I'm finished because I'm at 0 and I've shared them all out. So what's my answer? So on this top line, my answer is 153. Let's go to our last one. 278 divided by 2. So if I write it normally, it's 278 divided by 2. Let's find out what that is. Pause the video, go through your steps, and see if you can work it out. Okay, now that you have tried this yourself, let's check and see if you got the correct answer. So the first step is divide. 2 divided by 2, well we know that, that's just 1. 1 set of 2. 1 set of 2 is 2, so we have 0. So the next thing that we have to do is bring down the 7. 7 divided by 2. So if I go up in my sets of 2, then I go 2, 4, 6. If I go to 8, then I've gone too far. I don't have 8, so the closest I can get is 6. How many sets is that? 1, 2, 3. 3 sets of 2. And then I'm going to do my multiplication part. 3 times 2 is 6, so I need to take that away. Take away 6. That leaves 1. 7 take 6 is 1. And then I bring down my 8 all the way down here. And I'm going to do 18 divided by 2. And again, you can use your skip counting. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. I land right on it. How many sets of 2? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 sets of 2. And I just check my multiplication. 9 times 2 is 18. And when I take that away, I know I'm finished because I'm at 0. There's nothing left to divide. That's not the end of it though, because I need to answer my question. 278 divided by 2 is 139. The answer on the top line. Okay, so there are 4 examples for you to do using the pull down long division method in your class notebook. Make sure that you show all of the steps. It should look like this. So this is what it should look like for each one. Sometimes it looks a little messy, but that's okay because we're following the steps. But just remember your answer will always be on this top part of the little box. Remember to watch the video again if you need to, and remember if you're really stuck, come and ask Mrs. Barr for some help and I will be happy to go through this with you. It's one of my very favourite things to do in maths. Alright, good luck. Bye!